Your brain is in your head, your feet in a pair of fitting shoes so you can steer yourself in any direction you choose. Dr. Seuss affirms that humans, no matter how many crossroads they face, always hold the power to master themselves. The brain is not just the organ of thought, but a symbol of perception, of the ability to reason, learn, and self-reflect. When we become aware of what we're thinking, what we believe in, we begin to have the power to choose the path we'll take. And the pair of fitting shoes is a very everyday, very close image. It represents the circumstances, abilities, and unique conditions of each person. No need for shoes too big to chase after someone else, nor to confine yourself in the tight shoes of others' expectations. As long as they fit, you can walk steadily. Humans are like alert travelers on the journey of life. The road may be long, may be rugged, but when the mind is clear enough and the feet steady enough, we no longer fear getting lost. We understand that it's not circumstances that determine fate, but the way we respond to circumstances that shapes the direction. That saying, therefore, carries positive energy, like a quiet encouragement. You're not stuck. You're not helpless. You're holding the compass in your own hands, and as long as you dare to step, even small steps, the world will open up in the direction you choose. If you want to achieve excellence, you can achieve it today. From this moment on, stop doing less than excellent work. Thomas J. Watson. For anyone hesitating before their own potential, it doesn't promise distant successes in a vague future, but pulls excellence back to the present moment, the only place where humans can truly act. Excellence here isn't something lofty or glamorous, but starts from a very simple decision. Do better than what you're doing right now. Most mediocrity doesn't come from a lack of ability, but from the habit of accepting just getting it done. When we allow ourselves to be sloppy, procrastinate, or excuse ourselves with "it can wait," we're unwittingly building barriers between ourselves and our best version. Conversely, when we choose to put heart into every small action, write a line properly, speak a word fully, complete a task with focus, then excellence is no longer a distant goal, but a state of living. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. Don't need additional ideal conditions. Right now, just stop compromising with your own carelessness, and you've taken the first steps on the path to a better version. And sometimes, the moment you decide to do it properly is the moment life begins to change. In a noble soul, all is noble. Pascal. The way humans view the world and treat life. It evokes the image of a pure soul, where every thought, emotion, and action is illuminated by kindness and tolerance. When the inner self is open and sincere enough, humans no longer look at life with suspicion or judgment, but with understanding and respect. The world then doesn't change, but the way we perceive it changes completely. A noble soul is like clear water, reflecting everything without distorting their shapes. Those with such a soul easily see the good even in harsh circumstances, and recognize human value even in souls that are still clumsy and imperfect. Not because they're naive, but because they're mature enough to understand that everyone is on their own journey with their own scars and silent efforts. That nobility helps them not get caught up in resentment, competition, or bitterness, but choose to live more lightly and tolerantly with life. When the inner self becomes noble, every small action carries its own beauty. A kind word becomes warmer, a silence becomes understanding, and a right decision can spread positive influence far beyond what we imagine. Therefore, nurturing a noble soul is not only a journey of self-improvement, but also a way to quietly make the world around us gentler. In the gaze of a noble soul, life, despite many challenges, is always worthy of cherish and love. A body without pain, a mind without disorder, that's all the true happiness of humans. Epicurus, in a constantly moving world where people tirelessly chase achievements, status, and external standards. That saying is like a gentle reminder, bringing us back to the most fundamental value, the peace of body and mind, because ultimately, all grand aspirations become meaningless if the body is exhausted and the mind is disordered. A body without pain is not just a state free of illness, but also the feeling of living in harmony with one's natural rhythm. It's when we know to listen to the smallest fatigues, rest at the right time, cherish every breath and simple movement. When the body is cared for properly, humans have a solid foundation to experience life fully, without physical pain obscuring present joy. And a mind without disorder is a deeper state, the inner stability amid countless external changes. It's not a life without anxiety, but the ability to keep the mind from being swept away by fear, comparison, or excessive ambition. When the mind is calm, humans see things more clearly, know to let go of unnecessary things, and cherish what they have. This tranquility creates enduring strength, helping us stand firm through ups and downs. Happiness, therefore, doesn't lie in possessing a lot, but in the simple balance between body and mind. When the body is healthy and the mind serene, humans naturally feel fulfilled. That's the kind of happiness that's not noisy, not showy, but enduring and profound. A form of peace that the slower we live, the clearer we feel it. Happiness is knowing what you truly need and having what you need. What you truly need and what you have may be very simple things around you. Waking up one morning, feeling healthy without illness, and watching a flower bloom by the window. Eating a delicious and warm meal with loved ones. Drinking a cup of hot tea with a close friend to chat and confide. When humans stop confusing need and want between genuine desires and borrowed cravings from others, happiness immediately becomes much closer and lighter. The images mentioned are small, everyday, but carry great evocation. Waking up one morning with a healthy body, without pain, is a priceless gift that we often only realize when we've lost it. A flower blooming by the window doesn't change the world, but is enough to soothe the heart, reminding us that beauty still quietly exists no matter how busy life is. A delicious and warm meal with loved ones not only nourishes the body, but also nourishes the sense of belonging, of being loved. And a cup of hot tea with a close friend is a symbol of spiritual connection, where humans are listened to, can be themselves, without defenses. All those things are very simple, even familiar to the point of being overlooked. But that simplicity creates the depth of happiness. When we know to pause to feel, to cherish what we have, life suddenly becomes more fulfilled without needing anything grand. Happiness, therefore, is not a distant destination, but a state of awareness. Realizing that amid the hustle of life, what we truly need is sometimes right within reach. Thinking is like the captain of a ship. It controls all words, actions, controls all activities, behaviors, and the way you conduct yourself. Good thinking will help you know what to do and what not to do, what to learn and what not to learn, what to say and what not to say, what to know and what not to know. A ship, whether large or small, modern or primitive, can only go in the right direction when the helmsman is alert and steady. Similarly, thinking is the quiet but most powerful command center, controlling all words, actions, habits, and even the way we exist in life. When thoughts are clear and wise, humans naturally walk steadily. When thoughts are chaotic, every action, even with good intentions, easily veers off course. Good thinking isn't rose-colored or avoiding reality, but the ability to distinguish what should and shouldn't be, knowing to stop before choices that could harm oneself and others. It's thinking that helps us recognize what knowledge to absorb, what to let go, what words to say to build, what words to hold back to avoid hurt. Thanks to awareness in thinking, humans learn to temper desires, control emotions, and act more responsibly toward themselves. A good captain not only reads the map, but also understands the weather, currents, and the ship's endurance. A person with right thinking also understands their own limits and surrounding circumstances. They don't chase every wind, aren't swept into fleeting glamour, but choose a suitable and sustainable path for themselves. That alertness helps them live slower, deeper, and with fewer regrets. When thinking is nurtured by knowledge, kindness, and awareness, humans not only master their actions, but gradually master their lives. And then, the ship called self can quietly but steadily navigate through every wave of life. As long as you still have confidence in yourself, others will still believe in you. Cynda Williams. Others' trust, ultimately, doesn't arise naturally, but often stems from the way we view and treat ourselves. When a person maintains inner confidence, their eyes shine brighter, their voice steadier, and every action carries a naturally convincing energy. That's a strength that's not noisy, not showy, but enough to make others feel and trust. Confidence doesn't mean arrogance or asserting oneself at all costs. It's understanding oneself, accepting both strengths and weaknesses, and still choosing to proceed with a calm attitude. When a person believes in their own value, they don't need to hide, don't need to show off, don't need to seek recognition by any means. That serenity creates a sense of security for those around, making them willing to give trust and respect. Conversely, when a person starts doubting themselves, hesitating before their own thoughts, that hesitation easily spreads outward. Words lose weight, actions lack decisiveness, and others' trust wavers accordingly, not because they intentionally turn away, but because they no longer see in us a solid spiritual support to rely on. Maintaining confidence is not just an internal matter, but also how we build relationships with the world. When we believe in our value, no matter the circumstances, we're lighting a small but enduring flame, a flame that makes others look and believe. This is someone to accompany, to trust, and to go far with. There is always hope for those who calmly reflect on life. Katherine Logan. Amid the rushed pace of life, when emotions are swept by worries, losses, or failures, humans often forget their most precious ability, the ability to pause, breathe deeply, and look at life with calm eyes. In that moment, when the mind settles, hope begins to kindle. Calmness doesn't mean escaping reality or denying pain, but allowing oneself to look directly at what's happening without being swept by negative emotions. When the mind is no longer chaotic, we can see problems more clearly, realize that every difficulty has a cause, and every deadlock hides a way out. Calmness is like still water, clearly reflecting every shape. Thus, humans can distinguish what's truly important, what's just temporary fear. In that serene state, hope is born. Hope doesn't come from distant promises, but from the quiet belief that we still have the ability to choose, still have the chance to change our view and way of living. When thinking becomes mature, humans understand that failure isn't the end, but just a rugged stretch in the long journey. Each time we calmly ponder, we take another step closer to wisdom and resilience. Amid life's fluctuations, maintaining calmness is keeping an unextinguishable lamp for oneself. Even if the road ahead is still foggy, as long as we know to pause to think, to understand ourselves, hope is always there, quiet, enduring, and bright enough to guide us onward. Don't take anything too seriously. Accept all fortunes and misfortunes lightly. Jepfecson. In life, we tend to exaggerate the meaning of both success and failure, leading to excessive joy when gaining and deep pain when losing. That clinging makes the mind tired, stressed, and lose its inherent freedom. When learning to not take too seriously, We're not being indifferent or giving up, but knowing to keep a necessary distance to view things with clearer eyes. Life operates in cycles of gain-loss, union-separation, fortune, misfortune. No joy lasts forever. No sorrow exists eternally. When understanding that, humans cling less to outcomes, torment less over things beyond control. Receive luck with gratitude, but not arrogance. Face risks with tranquility, but not pessimism. That's the sign of a mature inner self. That lightness helps us not be swept by temporary emotions, while maintaining balance in life's changes. When no longer placing too much burden on each outcome, the mind becomes freer, the heart more open. We start learning to live fully in each moment, do our best, but not try to control everything. And in that gentle release, humans find a profound peace. The peace of someone who has tried their best and is ready to accept whatever comes with a calm, gracious attitude. Stand firm and don't think you'll fall. Then you'll never fall. Andersen doesn't affirm that humans will never stumble, but emphasizes the decisive role of belief in oneself. When we stand firm in thought, keeping the mind from being dominated by fear and doubt, external challenges can hardly topple the inner will. That firmness begins not from the feet, but from the deep belief that we can continue standing, no matter how shaky the circumstances. The fear of failure is often what makes humans fall before even truly encountering difficulty. When the mind constantly imagines falling, risks, and losses, the body and spirit follow and falter. Conversely, when we maintain focus on balance, trusting in our ability to adapt, we walk more steadily, more alertly, not because the road is smooth, but because the mind is strong enough to face the bumps ahead. Standing firm here is not just the body's posture, but a state of resolute inner mind. It's when humans clearly understand their limits, but don't let fear limit what they can do. When self-belief becomes the anchor, each step, though slow, is certain. Each challenge, though great, can be overcome. And in that state, we realize what makes us fall isn't the difficulty, but the moment we stop believing we can stand firm.